Hey, what's up, Discover Family Church? Pastor Carlo here, coming to you with another word of encouragement. Hey, have you ever found yourself complaining about something that you were wishing for earlier? I'll give you an example. I spent some time in Iraq, and when I was over there, we were just freaking out because the sand over there is like moon dust. Everywhere you walk, it kind of gets on everything, and we used to just hate walking around in this sand. It would get into everything, into your eyes. You take a shower. By the time you get back to where you were staying, you were like a powdered donut because it would just be all over everything. And I just remember constantly griping, man, this sand stinks. This sand stinks. Where I was in Iraq was up in northern Iraq. And in the fall, it got cold and it rained. It felt a little bit like being in Seattle. And so it rained and rained and rained and was really cold. And guess what happened to all of that powder and that sand that was everywhere? It ended up just turning into the worst, like chocolate pudding kind of mud that would just get into everything and be all over the place. And so next thing you know, we're complaining about the mud. Man, this mud, it's sticking. It's so terrible. And for a brief moment, I found myself wishing we could have the sand again. We were complaining about the mud. Man, this mud, it's so gross. And I'd have to take a knife and cut it off of my shoes every night. It was just terrible. And so the company I worked for, they decided, hey, we've got an idea. We can fix the sand and we can fix the mud. We'll just lay rocks everywhere. So they poured just truckload after truckload of rock and gravel all over the ground, and that made walking darn near impossible. So many rolled ankles and twisted up knees. I've got a bad back. It probably was from trying to walk through those rocks. And so we found ourselves complaining, man, these stupid rocks. And it was just hilarious how no matter what situation we were in, we found another reason to grumble and another reason to complain. Now, be honest, you've been at a little bit of a slower pace lately. And some of you might have found yourself complaining that you don't have everything to do. But we have short attention span and we have short memories. And if we remember back in January, we felt like, man, time is flying by. Actually, we felt like January went by forever. So let's say in February, we felt like, man, time is just flying by. What happened to that month? So actually, we've been given the gift of time right now. And some of us, if we're honest, we're kind of complaining that we've got a bunch of time. Maybe you were working a lot and you were busy on your job and you just wished for some time to be able to spend with your kids, spend with your family. And now you have some of that and you might actually find yourself saying, man, I wish I could go do something else. And so in the book of Philippians, the Apostle Paul wrote this. He's in jail. He's in chains, writing to us a book about joy and encouragement, which I just find beautifully ironic that a man who's basically incarcerated is telling us how to live a life of joy and contentment and peace. And in the second chapter, he says something really powerful that I want to share with you in Philippians. He says in verse 14 of chapter 2, do everything without complaining and arguing. Do everything without complaining and arguing. Verse 15, so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God. Pretty powerful statement there. Whatever you do, do it without grumbling or complaining so that when people see you, when people look at you, you'll actually shine. They'll actually see something worth modeling. We have a great opportunity in this age that we're living in, where we can look for the situation we're in, we can look at it as an opportunity to grumble, to complain, to wish for things that we no longer have, or we can set an awesome example to our kids, to our families, and to the world that we can be full of joy, even in the middle of what we're going through. So don't be like me. Don't be the knucklehead complaining about rocks and sand and mud every time, I get a different situation. I wish it was what it was. Instead, let's remember in those low times the things we wished for, and let's see those in now. We've got more time. We've got more, we potentially have more energy that we can use. We can just redeem this for something great if we follow what the Apostle Paul said there. And just, hey, let's make sure in our life we try to not complain, not argue. Let's get along. Let's focus on the opportunity for good, and we can make the most out of it. Discover Family Church, I love you. So glad to be able to do this with you. Hopefully, Lord willing, I'll get to see you guys soon.